What's up, everybody? It is number 84, Ask PJ, and I have my special guest, Dr. Zaino, here today. And we actually have a question for Dr. Zaino. So you guys put a lot of questions in on the last one. We got them all answered. And as always, we'll answer anything that you ask. Doesn't matter. We even had some fun business questions last time that I asked. I enjoy answering those. But this one is a long one. And it's a tricky one, but it is directed to both of us. But since he referenced Dr. Zaino, I'm actually going to let Dr. Zaino give whatever he wants, as much or as little as he wants. So, hello, PJ. My name is Kenny Kohler. I'm 20 years old, diagnosed with an autoimmune condition, going from a gifted athlete to being bedbound. My symptoms started from poor dieting, getting shredded for my first show at 15 years old. Sadly, I made it to the show. I never made it to the show. I began having stomach and liver problems, unable to have a bowel movement up to a month. Also getting frequently sick, colds, MRSA, but that would not stop me from my training. The symptoms slowly worsened, and I became extremely fatigued, more constipated, having blood flow problems, POTS, thinking and sleeping problems, unable to sweat, autonomic dysfunction. I went from being a gifted athlete to bedbound and a so-called loser, dropped by all coaches, friends, etc. My whole life was dedicated to training as well as playing professional soccer. It was the only thing I had and used to escape my current living situation. At the time, all my symptoms came on. I was dieting for this show. Overstress, no sleep, basically years of no sleep, have now led me bedbound from 16 to 20 years old, spending all day trying to fix myself so I can go back to my passion of training to be a freak. Me losing my gym is losing a part of me, and I'm willing to do whatever it takes to get me back onto the stage. I've spent the last 5 years researching and trying to cure myself and got myself functioning. But I think with the knowledge of Dr. Zaino and hopefully you, I can get to the Olympia. Currently, I can eat again, meditate, use vagus stimulation, and do my best training every day with everything I got. I know I have the genetics, hard work ethic, and proportions to make it if I can overcome this autoimmune disease. I've gotten past every injury, every obstacle that life can throw at me, all on my own, but this time I'm asking for help. I'm not going to let this condition stop me from training and making it to the Olympia. Dr. Zaino seems to have gone through something similar. I'm asking you guys for whatever it takes, some knowledge. I have nothing to lose, and I'm willing to give everything to make it to the stage. Hopefully you can respond. I would seriously appreciate it.
Wow, man. I know exactly how that feels. And so to first start off, you're not a loser. You know, I know you wrote that in there. That's bullshit. It's a lie. And also, I want you to think that there's thousands of bodybuilders that diet, that get ready for shows. I mean, look at like a Dexter Jackson, you know. So it's easy to just point the finger and say it's this diet, it's that. It's not. There's an underlying cause. A lot of times when we have conditions, we look at the fruit or the symptom so much because you're looking at the symptom. You're looking at the fruit, but we're missing the cause of it, or we're missing what's really causing this. So I want you to think of cause, not just masking symptoms. But just kind of feeling the energy of what you're going through and understanding that and having dreams and hopes to be on the Olympia level, which I have no doubt that you could if you're functioning correctly and healthy. I was just telling PJ before when we were kind of looking over this question, you guys heard my story, but there was a certain process I went through. I did not start bodybuilding again. When I did start bodybuilding again, I was 150 pounds. And I felt amazing, meaning that the Olympia or whatever, turning pro, all that stuff was not, of course I wanted that in my dream, but I had to focus on only one thing, PJ. And what's his name?
His name is Kenny.
And Kenny, it was the thing I became irrational, because PJ knows, I know, like any successful person, you become irrationally, we're successful because we're irrationally obsessed on a goal. Irrationally, like a pit bull on a T-bone steak, like irrationally obsessed. So my irrational obsession had to become to be the healthiest person I possibly could. It was not to look a certain way. It was not to, look back on winning Mr. America. No, my rational obsession was I was going to do whatever it take, try any therapy, go to any doctor, which we'll get to find whatever answer to get healthy again, no matter what it took. And like Jim Rohn used to say, well, how many doctors, how many therapies? Until. That was my word, until. Until when? Until I'm freaking better. Yeah. So no matter what it took, no matter how much money. But you see what I'm saying? My only intention was I need to restore my health and function. And you have an autonomic nervous system issue, which is your nervous system controls everything, right? So if you're trying to, redline the RPMs with training and heal a nervous system issue, you're going to be frustrated the rest of your life. So this is where you have to, I think the universe or God, whatever you want to say, I think this is teaching you patience. And it's very tough for an overachiever to be able to take 2 steps backwards to say, I need to focus on what's priority now, which is your health. And if it means losing a little bit of muscle, because at that time, I went on an all raw food liquid diet. I was just drinking greens juices and doing ozone and doing the enemas. Like I was, protein. I remember my protein was 20 grams a day. I remember I had to add a raw egg yolk to get cholesterol because my brain wasn't functioning correctly. I was, but PJ, do you know what it took me to get to this state? Like that bodybuilding Chris had to be okay with letting it go. And a lot of times we want to hold on to something, and it's time to kind of let it go, knowing that when I do get healthy, I could always come back to that. So what I'm feeling is, number one, I know you've researched and you've done all these natural things, and I call that plain Google MD. And I'm with you, man. I don't like drugs and medications to mask symptoms, and I was frustrated with the common medical system. But I really think it's very mature and intelligent to get testing. I love testing. People are like, well, I don't want to go to this doctor. He'll give me a drug. Well, no, but they do testing first. So testing's great. So at least find out the cause. Find out what's going on. Then with all the testing, then you could look at alternative natural ways of taking care of it and or a hybrid effect. I mean, when I had a flare-up of colitis, PJ, prednisone is one of the worst drugs out there, but let me tell you, it knocked me out of a flare, right? It controlled the issue. So sometimes we need things in a crisis situation just to control something when we're finding alternative means. So I really think you need to find all the tests you need to find out exactly what's going on versus telling me you have some type of autoimmune condition. Mm-hmm. Like, what is it? What is the specific name of it? What is it? Because they're all different. You don't treat them the same. There's no cookie cutter effect. I need you to take off. I need you to look at training as the ultimate end goal. And right now, your passion, irrational obsession has to be, I am going to be the healthiest son of a bitch that walks this planet. And knowing that I always use things as a movie. Like, this is part of the movie, right? This is part of your hero's journey. And now you're going to go on the journey and you're going to get well, and then you're going to use this testimony to help so many other people. And so when you go through this journey, first step, get as healthy as possible. Go to whatever doctor you need to and find out what's causing it. Use all the testing, and you could send me all the testing. I'll more than happy to be your coach on it to lead you in the right direction. But then the second thing I really want you to look at is, I love your positive attitude, but it's okay. I got negative too. I mean, it's not all sunshine and rainbows, as the movie says. So you find out what testing is, find exactly what it is, because then you have something to shoot at, right? Because if you're just going to try all these different things, there's so many healthy things to do. You're just running around in circles. There's no plan. So PJ, just from my gut instinct on that, get to a really good doctor. Get all the testing that's required, find out exactly what this is, at least put a differential diagnosis on what the heck you're going through, so then we know what we're fighting. And then from there, then we can explore other alternative means. But knowing that you got to be willing to give up your for me, it was such a pride thing. I had to let it go, PJ. Oh my God, my triceps went away, my legs went away. I remember my legs, I had that, only a bodybuilder knows this, I had that adductor gap.
The good thing is he's so young.
Yeah, I know, but that's also the thing. He's so young. Yeah. And the thing is, like, if you don't do something about it now and get it fixed now. See, when I was young, PJ, I didn't think I had time. It was so funny. It's like now at 44, I'm like, oh my God, you're so young. But it's like, dude, you have time. You could take 2 years to get your health back, and then within 2 years, be in the best shape of your life. And so put your health first, man. Find out exactly what this is, so you have something to shoot at and target. And then you make the decision that you're going to do whatever it takes until you get well. And that's the journey. But I wish I could help you more, but I'm not going to guess. One thing I never do with my patients, PJ, or anybody, is I never guess. Like, one of my famous lines is, why do you think you have this? I don't know. Because if you know what, everybody else is bullshitting you. I don't know.
Yeah.
So let's be honest. We don't know. Let's find out what it is, and then when we know, we got something to bring our heads around, mastermind, and get better. So that's my 2 cents.
And that answer is perfect. When I first read the question, before I read it out loud here, which, by the way, usually we just read the questions on the show as we go along, but this was a very long one. Without knowing the condition, my response is you've got to figure out what the condition is. Now, some of us, and I'm really generalizing by saying that, I mean people that have been doing this for a long time, like Dr. Zaino and myself, we have a tendency to try to self-diagnose ourselves in these situations. But as a young man, you've got to do whatever it takes to figure out exactly what is wrong before you can truly attack it and get better the right way. So please take the time to get yourself checked out, as many doctors as you have to go to until you figure it out. And when I said you're very young, the reason I said that was, in the grand scheme of things, once you get this all sorted out, you'll be so happy that it's past you, and it's just a small, small portion of your life. It's unfortunate that it happened to you at any age, but be happy that you have it happening now young, and you're going to figure it out, and it's going to make you a better man when you conquer it in the end.
Yeah, and just know that we're absolutely voting for your victory, and we'll be here for you 100%.
Okay, 2 more questions. These are easier ones. I do like the challenging ones. The easy ones, guys, I can stretch them out if you really want me to, but there is no point. Question number 2. Hope all is well, PJ. Quick question for you. Is it possible to add muscle and size, lifting light to moderate weight with increased volume? Thank you for your time. So we've had this question so many times over the years. Do you have to lift heavy? Can you do high reps? Everything is relative, guys. So when people say, do I have to lift heavy? What's heavy to one person can be very light to somebody else. So as a guideline, most hypertrophy, if you look at studies, occurs during an 8 to 12 rep range, right? But that doesn't mean that your muscle knows what 8 is or what 12 is. I tell people all the time, pick a weight and just do it until you can't do it anymore. You'll be surprised. You might pick a weight that you think that you're going to do 10 times and you do it 30 times. Well, that's how you figure out how strong you are. So then you go a little heavier. You get to the point where you pick a weight that's just too heavy there, you're not going to be able to move it. Now you have a little bit of an idea of where your actual strength is. Now, strength, of course, can be affected by how long you're training for, how long you're resting for, how many days a week you train. But to answer this question very quickly, there's always this debate on volume versus intensity versus reps. My advice to you is to try as many things as possible and figure out what you not only like the best, but what you notice you feel the best from. Because I know guys that can just look phenomenal lifting in a 4 to 6 rep range. And then I know some guys that lift in a 15 to 20 rep range. They never really push it too hard, and they look great. I still believe that those guys probably did some heavier stuff at one point. But you've got to go and figure these things out on your own. And when it comes to building muscle the right way, no matter how hard you train as far as with weight or reps, sets, volume, it's what you eat that is going to be the ultimate factor in how you put this muscle on. And I tell people that all the time. We always say it's a cliche number, but 80% of your progress is what you eat, you know? Or like that other cheesy one that, you know, abs are made in the kitchen. People ask me all the time what I do different when I'm training, you know, now versus shows and everything else. And I figured out how I loved to train. And I also figured out what changed my body the most efficiently. And I stuck to that stuff because I wasn't going to do Ronnie Coleman's workout because Ronnie Coleman did it. And I wasn't going to do Dorian Yates' workout because Dorian Yates did it. I had to figure out what not only I liked the best, but was best for me. And so, to summarize this long ramble, try it all. But remember that your diet is going to be the key to your success. Most people will argue, though, that you should be failing in that 8 to 12 rep range. That's what you're going to hear the most, I think, debate on.
Yeah. And the only thing I would add to that was perfect, was give it's patience again. That's kind of a theme. Give it 90 days. Don't assess it in a week or two. Like, you need a good 90, because it's an organic process. You got to build muscle. And PJ was right. He was so right about that. It's like things that I might be doing today. I did lift heavy. I was that AST and Skip LaCour, those guys did the Max OT. It was 1 to 2 sets, 4 to 6 reps, and you had to get stronger every the 2.5s every single week. And it was A to B push, A to B. And let me tell you, in my 20s, no problem. Hit 30s, my joints screamed at me. So I had to go back to more of a negative, squeezing, flexing, Milos Sarchev type of like some high rep things to burn out. Like, try something different. And my body, you know what? But PJ said something right. I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
So I think there's a point, like when you enjoy something, like if like higher reps feel good, you get a good pump, you feel good. Like, you're gonna enjoy. If you're enjoying it, I think you get better results just the fact that you enjoy it. Because I was not looking forward to 4 to 6 reps of feeling my elbows and shoulders and knees. That's all I felt. No. But you got a good pump and your chest is pumped. You're like, man, it feels good. So I opt to more the higher volume, not as heavy, but it's all relative. But definitely, you nailed it, PJ. I would definitely try it all, but give yourself some time to assess it. This is where journaling's good, and this is why why are we so afraid to listen to our own intuition?
Yeah.
Like, listen to your body. Oh, because you want to do what PJ did, right? No, listen to your body, and if you just allow yourself to experiment and understand. I mean, and guys, it took me. I was told PJ, just in my 40s, I really could be like, I figured out. I figured this out because I was so stubborn that I did follow Ronnie's routine. I did follow Kevin LeBron's routine, and something never felt right.
You know, I love that you brought up the AST, the Skip LaCour stuff, because one of the first guys that I trained with years ago, his name is James Cipriani. He still looks great. He was a natural bodybuilder, and that's a Skip LaCour, and those guys were natural bodybuilders. And he used to do all that training. And I tried it out for a little while just because I've tried all kinds of different things myself. And when I was young and I was powerlifting, mentally I loved those low reps and being explosive and trying to push in that 3 to 5, 4 to 6 rep range. As I got older and my goals changed and things that I couldn't do changed, I got so much more enjoyment out of volume and reps than lifting heavy. And possibly it had to do with just getting hurt all the time. Because usually when you're doing something 15 times, you're not grabbing it saying, man, I hope nothing blows out on this one.
Yeah.
But those 4 to 6, those 3 to 5 sets, a big part of the mindset of that is I got to get this done and not get hurt.
Yeah, and you got 2 sets to do it or 1 set to do it. It's all out, everything on the floor.
You got to do you got to do what makes you happy. That's what I always tell people. Last question. I am 6'4", 275 pounds, and I have a wingspan of about 6'6". No matter how much I bulk or train arms, I just cannot get good arm size. I have excellent development in the back, chest, shoulders, etc., but my arms are proportionally smaller. Do you have any tips on helping increase my arm size to catch up with the rest of my body? Thank you. Well, obviously, structurally being that long, it's going to be a little bit difficult for him. Do you know anybody that's very tall that you can think of that has huge arms? There's a couple random big bodybuilders.
I mean, I'm about to talk about pros, the best in the world. I mean, Frigno Gunther had good arms, right? He had that good, Peach, who was that one guy who kind of looked like Arnold? Roland something. Oh, that guy? He looked like him.
Yes. There was also, he just came into my head. Did you ever meet Noah Steer before?
Yes.
He was like almost 7 feet tall.
Yeah. No, he was
enormous man. Now, some of those guys that are just that big, I think that genetically they have what it takes to be big everywhere. Usually when you meet anybody that's 6'4", or taller, now you're getting more into, basketball, volleyball.
They got good delts, good traps, but all those forms are long. One thing I could say, PJ, if it would help at anything, the body parts most developed on me, like my arms, PJ, when I train them, I feel, like when you do calves and they burn so bad, like when I train my arms, no matter what weight, they burn so bad. Like I just have a really good neurological connection. And like my back is like, I look at guys' back, it's so dense, like shit, I can't get like guys. I don't have that burn pump connection to no matter how good. So I really think with my arms, there's such a mind muscle connection. And I use exercises that I really feel. And that would be one step. We're talking about owning your body. It's like, well, I would just get all the exercises, try them, and the ones that you feel, and the ones you don't, like overhead tricep, for me, I don't feel shit. Mm-hmm. So I don't even do it. So I only do the things that I actually feel, and it's that burn where when it's done, you want to smack somebody.
Yeah.
So that's one thing I could say. That's one approach to find the ones that you feel. What would you say?
Isolation. Whenever people ask me about building their arms specifically, although I do feel that all body parts deserve the right isolation, people get really caught up in moving weight around, I think. Mm-hmm. And with let's just talk about the biceps for a second. Such a small body part. And for those of you listening at home, I'm terribly sorry about the ridiculous noises.
But the landscapers decided to show up now.
It's like they knew that they wanted that somebody put out a message in the complex today of how to irritate PJ Braun, and there's been a number of things that have happened in the past hour. This is just adding to that list.
Joe's sweating over there too. He's just he's about to have.
It's like unbelievable.
Give him his Xanax immediately.
So.
And they're getting closer.
I know. We could always wait it out.
No, we do not do that. We stick through it.
We stick to it. So. Isolation is the key, especially for biceps. It's a very small muscle, and I see people get caught up in, let me do heavy barbell curls and, these power movements. And what happens is you start to use a lot of momentum. You start thrusting with your hips, your anterior delts pull. I think that when you get fixed in a position, like a preacher curl, for instance, or an incline curl where your arms are hanging, and the muscle itself, which is the bicep we're talking about in this specific instance, has to do all the work, that's when you start to really get that burning feeling that Dr. Chris was talking about that he feels in his arms. You've got to be able to really concentrate on just that muscle working. So my advice is to pick a bunch of isolation exercises, go lighter, and just focus on squeezing it as hard as you can. Control your reps. When it comes to biceps, I love dumbbells. I've always liked doing dumbbells. I've liked doing dumbbell preacher curls, incline dumbbell curls, alternating dumbbell curls, any kind of dumbbell specific exercise. I never really liked doing barbell curls or easy bar curls or even barbell preacher curls. Did I do them? Yes, of course, I did everything. But I always got more out of just isolating each bicep and using a dumbbell where I could put it in the position where I could feel the muscle contracting the way I wanted it to. And of course, you can do these things with machines and cables as well. But pick the exercises that you're feeling burning the most.
Yeah.
That's what you got to go for. A lot of guys I've noticed, though, a lot of guys that are tall, they have such a long range of motion that if you look at the way that their structures are, whether they have longer forearms, for instance, the forearm develops. And they typically have good grip strength, and that's usually part of why they have the larger backs as well. I just think that they're not engaging the bicep the same way, just structurally because of the way that they're built. So lighten it up and focus on that isolation. That was the last question for Ask PJ, and I'm happy that there was only a few, because the noise in the background is brutally annoying. And I apologize. The next time I'm answering these questions, there will not be this noise. I will make sure of it. But we encourage you guys to please send your questions in. Yes. And Dr. Zaino and I are going to be completely different with what we talk about on our podcast, but we may talk about some of this stuff as well. Anything that you have for this transformation contest, guys, remember there's $10,000 for first place at stake. Don't do it blindly. Send your questions in. I'm happy to answer them. I will answer literally anything that you guys send. There was 15 questions last time, only 3 this time. So I'm just assuming you guys have all the answers. I expect everybody to look really good at the end of this. And that is it. You have anything you want to add?
No, this is wonderful. Yeah, and guys, like PJ said, always it's okay to ask for help. It's okay to ask for questions. The worst thing to do is to assume. Because what happens, you assume, you go online, and online just makes you even more frustrated. Yep. Just go right to the source. I'm all about efficiency and shrinking time. So if asking PJI a question shrinks time, efficiency, and gets you to your result quicker, do it. When people ask for directions, I'm the guy who asks for directions because I don't want to waste time.
Absolutely.
Just fucking, what aisle is the screws on? All right, thank you. I'm not the asshole who goes up and down the road. Not saying, but it's I want to get in, get out. I think in seconds. And I think when you start to think in seconds, you don't want to waste time. So any question you guys have, there's no stupid question. Ask it. And I love it. I still ask questions.
You know what's funny? Have you ever been, well, I know you've been shopping with a woman, right?
I've been what?
I was saying, have you ever been? And then I said,
of
course you've been shopping.
I've been shopping with a woman.
So,
yes.
Guys are always.
I thought you said, am I shopping for women? And the answer to that would be yes as well.
I apologize. So guys are the ones that get the bad rap of not wanting to ask for directions. But I think it's usually, and guys don't like to ask directions driving, things like that, right? They like to be in control. But if you've ever been shopping with a woman, whether it's for clothes, jewelry, perfume, they do not ever ask questions. And when I've been shopping with so many women over the years, right? A lot of guys don't want to do that stuff. I'm happy to do it. But we'll go into Victoria's Secrets or wherever, and they'll be looking for hours for this one thing. And I'll be like, hey, let's just go ask the girl. Yeah. And it's like, no, we are not asking that girl. We're not talking to her. I know what I'm doing. I'm going to find this on my own. And in my head, I'm like, man, we could have been out of here so much faster if we just went and asked. So don't be afraid to ask for questions. Ladies, that one's specifically for you. Just ask. Save us fellas some time.
Please.
All right, that's Ask PG Braun for this week. Keep the questions in. Happy to answer them. As always, peace out, bye.